Hey guys, it's Filipino Martial Arts, and in this video I want to discuss some of my thoughts regarding Filipino martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now if you follow me for any amount of time on Instagram, on Facebook, or on YouTube, you'll know that I am a lifelong practitioner and teacher of the Filipino martial arts, specifically Atienza Kali and Arnis program through Warrior Martial Arts. And I've been focused on the Filipino martial arts for most of my life, since I was about maybe 11 years old. But recently I've taken up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, specifically through the Eskrimadors Jiu-Jitsu Association. And I want to talk about some of my experiences with that and why I feel it's important for FMA guys, Kali, Arnis, and Eskrima practitioners to cross-train in Jiu-Jitsu, as well as why I feel it's important for Jiu-Jitsu guys to cross-train in FMA. There's a lot of discussion about this on the internet. I've seen some YouTube videos kind of showing, kind of how people mixing the two styles or whatever. This really isn't that kind of video. This is just a vlog from a guy who's done FMA most of his life, speaking to his fellow FMA guys why it's important for them to consider doing Jiu-Jitsu and why I feel it's important for my friends in the Jiu-Jitsu world to do Filipino martial arts. Now, just give you some background. I've been doing Filipino martial arts most of my life. I started when I was about 11 years old, and the school I trained at taught Jeet Kune Do, Filipino Kali, and submission grappling. And I remember during every class, the teacher would teach different elements of each system rather. But I really gravitated, of course, to the Kali stuff, the Filipino martial arts stuff, because I am Filipino. I feel maybe, I was being called to do it. It was just something I couldn't get enough of. I just wanted to train in FMA all the time. But each class, I also got the chance to do some grappling. And I also enjoyed that just as much. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, these systems are both, they're both based on fluidity, on being calm, on being able to think 10 steps ahead of your opponent. Like, these were things that really intrigued me. So from the get-go, from the beginning of my FMA journey, I saw the correlation, I saw the similarities between FMA and Jiu-Jitsu. However, as I got older, I really began to dive into the Filipino styles, pretty much 100%, right? So I began to train in Atienza Kali under Tuan Carl Atienza of the Atienza Kali system, and I began to teach an Arnis program through Warrior Martial Arts. And I was focused 100% on FMA. And to this day, that is really my passion, my driving force. I still love teaching it. I think it's my duty as a Filipino American to continue to teach the arts of my ancestors. That being said, I also discovered Jiu-Jitsu again, right? Because I started hanging out with a lot of my martial arts colleagues, a lot of my friends in different systems, and a lot of them were pursuing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they were enjoying it, right? Not to just be tough and be able to fight, but they were just enjoying it from a recreational standpoint. It was just fun for them. It was new for them. I thought that, it might be something I might want to look into for myself. And I just decided to pursue the Carlos Machado Jiu-Jitsu Association as an affiliate leader. We teach a Machado Jiu-Jitsu component in our Arnis classes right now, and we're looking to expand that to an isolated Jiu-Jitsu class in the next month or so. And if you guys have been following me on Instagram, you'll notice that I've been training in Jiu-Jitsu regularly this past summer at the Carlos Machado Jiu-Jitsu headquarters in Carrollton. And again, it's been such an eye-opening experience, and it's made me realize how effective Jiu-Jitsu is alongside FMA, and why I feel it's such a great complement to my training as a Filipino martial arts practitioner. Here are 3 reasons why I believe that Jiu-Jitsu is a great supplement and a great complement to FMA training, right? 1, it gives us a more less lethal approach to self-defense. Now, Filipino martial arts is known for stick work and blade work, and there are many self-defense scenarios where you would be warranted, legally and ethically warranted, to utilize a weapon in self-defense, right? That being said, there's also a value to learning how to utilize less lethal means, right, to control and subdue a person, as Jiu-Jitsu teaches. Now, this kind of leads into a discussion regarding Filipino Buno or Dumog, and I get a lot of questions about that because a lot of people wonder why I'm doing Jiu-Jitsu if I already know the Filipino grappling stuff. I get it, that's a topic for a completely different video, but I do want to explain to some degree that I believe that Jiu-Jitsu is really a specialty art in that range. I believe Jiu-Jitsu really specializes in the grappling range, more so in many ways than Filipino grappling. Not to say Filipino grappling is bad, it's just not designed to simply control a person who is much bigger and larger than you. It's designed for a very particular and specific context, which I may get into in another video. But again, I think, to go back to the original point, I believe that Jiu-Jitsu is very valuable because it offers a skill set to the FMA practitioner so they don't always have to go to their weapon. They can utilize a less lethal means to control a person should the situation warrant it. Again, there are many situations where you would be warranted to use a weapon, but there's also a lot of situations where you may simply have to restrain or control a person. And I think Jiu-Jitsu is excellent for that. So that's number one. Number two is I feel that Jiu-Jitsu is great for fitness. I mean, I've always been kind of like a fitness guy, and through FMA I've been able to get in good shape, but I gotta say, in Jiu-Jitsu, it requires a different kind of fitness. You gotta be much more flexible. Your core strength has to be high level. I mean, your mobility, your sense of balance, everything has to be at a very high level. And I've noticed in the last 2 months of Jiu-Jitsu training, my spine is a lot more mobile, my hips are a lot more flexible, my shoulders are stronger and more flexible because of Jiu-Jitsu training. Is such a great component of my fitness journey, right? So again, as beneficial as Filipino martial arts can be for your physical well-being, I just feel that Jiu-Jitsu really pushes the fitness envelope. And I'll be honest, a lot of FMA training is not that physically demanding. I mean, there's some exceptions, but by itself, a lot of FMA training is not that demanding. Jiu-Jitsu, however, by itself is. And I think from a health and wellness standpoint, Jiu-Jitsu really can assist the FMA practitioner in the realm of getting in better shape, which I think is great no matter who you are, right? No matter what system you practice. And the third thing I would suggest, and the third thing I really noticed that was a huge positive, something that I gained from Jiu-Jitsu training that I feel is very beneficial for my FMA students in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training, is they are much calmer in the grappling range, and they're much calmer in a very uncomfortable setting. We have to remember that Jiu-Jitsu, especially if you're doing it for the first time, is very uncomfortable because you're very close, which is uncomfortable as it is. You're sweating on top of another, you're breathing heavy, the guy's grabbing you and trying to choke you, lock you up, submit you, everything. It's a very uncomfortable activity, especially in the beginning. And it forces FMA guys to step out of their comfort zone and get really uncomfortable, right? And I think a lot of FMA guys, especially when I would, stick spar or whatever, I remember even back in the day where, we'd do knife work and things like that, and guys would get grabbed in a way they weren't used to. Maybe the stick was grabbed, or maybe they were grabbed differently. They'd panic. And they try to struggle to get their weapon back, and they just keep panicking, and they would get tense and really freeze. And I noticed that after doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, especially Machado Jiu-Jitsu, it's easier to stay calm when someone grabs you. You don't have to panic. You know what to do. You've been there before. So I think that's a really important thing to consider. Jiu-Jitsu is not only great for teaching you a less lethal skill set and also getting you in shape, it teaches you how to be calm in a very uncomfortable space, which is that close range, literally chest to chest, face to face range that a lot of grappling situations, especially close quarter situations, may take place in, right? So that's something to consider. Now, for my friends who do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I haven't forgotten about you, right? There's a lot of reasons why I believe that FMA can really benefit the Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. And here's some of the reasons. So the first reason I would give is that it offers Jiu-Jitsu practitioners a realistic means of knowing how to deal with multiple opponents, right? Specifically Atienza Kali. And Atienza Kali, it's really a specialty of ours to know how to realistically deal with multiple opponents. You can go to the Atienza Kali website, they kind of talk about this in more in detail. But I think that Jiu-Jitsu's, I guess the gap in its armor really is its ability, or its lack rather, its inability to deal with multiple opponents. Now a lot of people would say, well, no martial art realistically covers how to deal with multiple opponents. It does. Atienza Kali does. You guys can check it out for yourself, go to the website, see some of the methods that they utilize. It's unlike anything you've probably seen out there. I think it's very, very valuable for Jiu-Jitsu practitioners to learn Filipino martial arts, specifically Atienza Kali, so that they know how to deal with end weapons realistically and multiple opponents, and how to deal with situations where you're in a crowd or dealing with situations where you're with your family. Jiu-Jitsu really is this one-on-one art, which a lot of martial arts are, but FMA, specifically Atienza Kali, really teaches you how to truly protect yourself outside of the managed area that you may be training in, right? So I think that's really, really important. So learning how to deal with multiple opponents and weapons is a must. I think that's important for any Jiu-Jitsu guy to try to embrace. The second thing I would suggest, and the second thing I've noticed that could help Jiu-Jitsu guys from the FMA side, is that it teaches them a sense of mobility and speed. Now, Jiu-Jitsu guys are fast. Like, they're fast in a different way. They can scramble, they can move horizontally very quickly. It's very impressive. But I think that when you're dealing with weapons, your sense of reflex, your sense of hand-eye coordination, your timing, you have to be at a lot higher level. So I believe that Filipino martial arts can really help Jiu-Jitsu guys by developing their hand-eye coordination, their agility, their speed, their mobility, all these things in a way that is not the same as Jiu-Jitsu, which will actually end up benefiting their Jiu-Jitsu because it gives their mind and body a different means of learning motion. The third reason why I would suggest FMA for the Jiu-Jitsu practitioner is that it teaches them basically a sense of environmental awareness, kind of going to the first point of multiple opponents and weapons. I think it's also important to understand that Filipino martial arts focuses on environmental awareness. You have to be able to use any item at your advantage as a weapon. You may need to know your exits. You may need to know who's in the room, who is your enemy, who isn't your enemy. These are all aspects of Filipino martial arts that I think can really fit into a jiu-jitsu practitioner's arsenal. I really just benefit them mainly from a self-defense standpoint. So this are some of the reasons why I believe that FMA can really help the jiu-jitsu practitioner. And both styles, FMA and jiu-jitsu, by the way, are very congruent in the sense that they're both fluid again. They're very fluid and they're based on positioning and timing. And I notice this, the more I do Filipino martial arts and the more that I do jiu-jitsu, I'm seeing more correlation. I'm seeing more of a connection. I wanted this video to kind of be a bridge, kind of a conversation starter for my friends in both the FMA community and the jiu-jitsu community. All right, guys, so I hope this video leads to some great discussion. Take care, God bless, and be the hero in your life.